Okay, we'll call the Executive Council meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. We've had two regrets. We have regrets from Councillor D'Entremont and regrets from Deputy Warden Albright. As we always say, invitation to stand and move. Anybody who needs to move around or whatever, by all means, feel free to do so. Sometimes sitting too long gets a little monotonous and tiring. You have an agenda. Are there any items anybody would need to add items to the agenda? Seeing none, the agenda stands approved or approved as presented. Any conflict of interest, if anybody has a conflict of interest, they can declare it now, or they can wait till the item comes up. You can declare conflict of interest at any time during the meeting when an item comes up and you feel there's a conflict in that item. Adoption of minutes. We have the April 13, 2023, the annual council meeting minutes. Have you all had a chance to read? And if you have, are there any errors or omissions in the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes stand approved as presented. The next item says 7-day notice. Disregard that. That might have been just something that was not taken off of an agenda. We don't have anything on the 7-day notice. We have the department head report, protection services, and there's an attachment. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Councillor Surratt.
Is this Renee or Renee? Is that your? Yeah. I see here that there's two items on administration building accessibility improvement plan. Two items. And it says improve accessibility for staff in parking lot. Oh, okay. We're actually for staff throughout the building. Sorry. I thought it was both parking lot. Okay. Sorry about that.
Wait a minute.
Got it.
Do it again. Oh, you didn't have anything?
No, I was going to answer. Yeah, he got it.
Okay. There. Okay, if there's no other questions, we don't need a motion on that one, I think. We just accept the... We're at number 8 for decision, first reading, proposed land use bylaw amendment and development agreement for Sawmill Attachment. We had a planning advisory committee meeting yesterday to discuss this. Unfortunately, Erin cannot be with us tonight, but I think maybe we're going to go over it a bit so that the people that weren't at the meeting will know what this is all about. So who's going to take that? Is that going to be Renee? Okay, I have Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yeah, Renee, maybe you can add after. So yeah, we had a planning advisory committee meeting yesterday. WSP went over a development agreement that's been an application been submitted to the municipality for consideration. Before we can consider which is a sawmill in East Camp, which is considered a village zone. Before we can consider that, we need to make an amendment to the LUB, land use bylaws, because it doesn't permit us at this point to do a development agreement for that type of industry, a sawmill. But our MP, the issue that's kind of funny is that our MPS does. So I think it was missed when we did the land use bylaw. So before we can consider the development agreement, we need to make the amendments to the land use bylaw to include a DA for sawmills in the village zoning. So that's one of the proposals here tonight coming from WSP. And at the same time, we have the development agreement that has been proposed by WSP and shared with the applicant. And it's for consideration tonight. And I'll pass it on to Rene here later that he wants to add a little bit about the development agreement, a little more information. So there are two things tonight to pass, is the amendment to the LUB to permit sawmills in the village zone, and two, pass the development agreement. That development agreement is attached to your minutes. That was attached as, I forget, Schedule A or B. But it's there. So I don't know if somebody had any concerns around the schedule or the development agreement. You can share it. However, once this is approved tonight, just bear with me here for a sec. If council approves the amendment and the motion to accept the development agreement, then we would make notice for a public hearing for both of those, for the amendment and the DA. Then it needs to be posted into the local paper. And then it's basically gives them, the public, to do a 14-day appeal period. So once that is resolved, then we can make the changes to the LUB. And once that is in, we can actually now sign a development agreement with the applicant. So it's a little technical there, and I hope I was able to explain it the best I could. I'm learning as we go here, and I'll pass it on to Rene just to add a little more information on the development agreement.
Yeah, and just to add to Scott's, we just like to get both of them together. Then it eliminates a little bit of the advertising fees. We're only advertising the one, both of them in one. And we did receive information today, late in the day. Nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same motion, but we need to update the site plan, because the applicant had additional information come up that he wants to add another two small buildings on the site plan. It's not going to be, they're going to be accessory to the main building. So, I mean, he's not sure. We're trying to iron it out as quickly as possible to get this done. Next week, it's looking like maybe two buildings, or two smaller buildings, or one longer one. It's for a planer and a joiner. It's just a cover. It's to use with the current mill. Just something to keep out of the weather, keep themselves out of the weather. So like I said, it's the same motion. There's provisions in part 5, actually 5.2 to be exact, that allows amendments to this DA, so that we wouldn't have to come back every time that they want to add a smaller building, as long as it would be an accessory to the building that it's used now, not something bigger. There wouldn't be any issues. So yeah, hopefully we can get us up-to-date site plan before the public hearing, and it'll just be same.
Councillor Saunier.
Thank you. To be clear, it's my understanding that this amendment is good for the entire municipality of Argyle, and that if there's other application, they'd be treated separately from this one, if each one be treated as a separate.
Yeah, if you want me to answer. Yeah, everyone would be, and this one would just be for the village zone. Right? So it would be, just because the NPS stated it, and our LUB is not aligning with it. So anytime there would be a application for a sawmill in the village, we'd have to do a development agreement.
Okay.
Because
That answers your.
I believe that there are some land use areas that it's as of right.
Yeah.
It's just that in the village, there was nothing. You couldn't do it. And this is why that was brought up, because he was in the village land use, and he wanted to do that. So now any village can apply. It doesn't mean any village is going to get it. It means it can apply, but they would have to have a development agreement in order to be able to and then you go through the same process where you have your public hearings and the whole rest.
That's what I thought, and just wanted to make it clear.
I have Councillor Surratt.
Yes, just a comment, I guess. I was glad to see, I read the whole thing, glad to see that the residents will be sent a letter, especially those close to the,
Yeah,
that's great. So if those would be the ones that might be bitching a little or whatever, however you want to say it, yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
there's a few in that small area, so they will be getting letters. There's going to be a sign posted, so we're supposed to sign, and then we're going to submit for the advertising too.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's everybody's going to get their chance, going to get a letter.
Perfect. Thank you.
I was
Deputy CEO, yeah.
I was just going to answer one of those questions that Renee did, so I'm okay.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Any other questions? So at the meeting yesterday, the planning advisory is recommending first reading. We can't approve this tonight. This is a first reading of this, right? Because it has to go through the process. And I'll read what the motion should be. And it says it give first reading and consider approval of proposed amendment to the land use bylaw to permit sawmills by development agreement in the village zone. It gives notice of motion to consider approval of the proposed development agreement to permit sawmill at 345 Gray Road with the paid number. I'm not going to say that one there, but and authorize staff to schedule a public hearing held concurrently for the proposed land use bylaw amendment and development agreement. So that would be the motion that we would be making today. And it's just, again, it's first reading. And then you go through the process. So we need a motion for that.
I'll make the motion.
It's moved by Councillor Bork, seconded by Councillor Boudreau. Any more discussion on this? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, carried. The next one is Article C22, fees and penalties. And this, we had our 7-day notice. We had our 7-day notice at the last meeting, and this can be either approved or rejected or whatever. We can deal with this tonight. And I'm just wondering, there's an attachment. We did discuss this last time, and I'm wondering if there's any more discussion on this matter.
I'll make a motion that we accept the fees and penalties. Article C22.
Okay, that's moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Surratt. If there's no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, carried. 8C is Article P28, which is, again, it's we had a 7-day notice. We discussed it at the last meeting. It's here now for approval or whatever to deal with it. And again, there's an attachment, and I'm wondering if there's any more discussion on this. If everybody's
So,
Second.
moved by Councillor Surratt, seconded by Councillor Bork. If there's no more discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Contrary minded, carried. The next one is relief of tax. And what it is, it's a wharf that no longer exists, and the assessment was deactivated and changed to a zero assessed value by PVSC for 2023. So I guess we need to make a motion to relieve the taxes that were put on that property. Moved by Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Saunier. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, carried. And the next one, task force letter signed, Yarmouth Industrial Airport, YAC, the airport. This one here was sent to me. I had it put on here so that you would all have a chance to read it. And what they're looking for is to form a task force. And we've discussed this so many times about who should, the federal government, the provincial government, and it seems like now they're accepting that it's a very important asset to their operations. And what this is they would like, and that's a board at the airport. Maybe our Councillor Shrek can enlighten us on this. But what it is they want kind of our okay to go ahead with that. Now, this is just in principle because we don't know what the cost is. We don't know what's going to be involved. But in order for them to set that up, it would be they want to have, I guess, our okay on that, and then I'm sure it'll come back to us once they have more information on what it will entail in order to get that going and costs and whatever. So maybe if Councillor Surratt, who's on the board, can give us more information on that.
I'll just give a little more. What we found and has been brought at this council table many times, I think Councillor Digdon especially, if federal and provincial government, we're finding that they're not stepping up to the plate. They've given money to airports out west, smaller airports, and it seems the Yarmouth Airport, we're always left on the back burner. And so we want to build, make a task force and to try to go lobby federal and provincial to try to get some funds to help us, you know, do stuff at the airport that'll enhance economic development. So that's what we're looking to do. So
Sure.
with the okay from a task force, no money, nothing. It's not about money. It's about an okay that we go and do this and try to get partners into building that airport, maybe to do some economic development. That's the
Okay,
whole idea.
thank you. I have Councillor Saunier.
Thank you. I'm 100% in favor of that, Council Surratt. I have a question. And I don't know if you guys can answer this. When it comes to the medevac and the Air Force and all that stuff that we talk about and saving lives, does the airport or would it or does it cover the tri-counties, not just Yarmouth and area?
Like Councillor Digdon has brought up many times.
Can you put?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you
I said
are
that
on. I'm sorry.
Has brought up many times. Clare, Digby, Barrington, up to Barrington, it's in all the tri-county, yes.
Because
It does.
they have no facility like Yarmouth to
Nothing
handle
at
this
all.
stuff.
Nothing at
So
all.
it benefits the entire
It
tri-counties.
does benefit. And I remember you were not on council then, neither was Councillor Boudreau, but am I right in saying that Alain was one of them that went and lobbied different councils, but was not able to get
We got a little bit from one municipality.
one, yes. Barrington,
And
maybe
in
5,000 or something.
I can't
I
remember
don't
what it
remember
was.
who
I
it
can't
was.
remember what it was, but we did get a little bit of assistance from one municipality, but I think it was a one-time thing, and other municipalities just refused.
Well, at this point, if I may, it's not about asking other communities for money, it's about that for support. Would you not agree?
Oh, yes.
So I mean, a life in Barrington is just as important as a life in Argyle, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess where they were asking for the okay, where we're the stakeholders, we're one of the stakeholders. The three units are stakeholders. So with that permission, I think that's where, in fact, I'm positive that's where we're going. Again, to stop it. Our interim manager will be going again.
Yeah,
To see
because
these different
you're gonna
councils.
need money beyond municipality
Oh.
money, and yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. Yes, I've been talking about this for quite a while. There's no saying I haven't. I'm just looking at the question you asked as far as the patients and that fly out. Yarmouth is the regional hospital. They come in there from Digby right around the Shelburne. So when they get in there, that is the airport that they're using to bring these planes in or fly these planes out of. I feel as though that we've been putting out a lot of money lately over the years to help their patients or their people as well as our people. But I think somewhere along the line we have to have a balance. And, as far as going with the federal government, it's a great thing. The provincial government, I hope they come up with some. And if not, at some point in time, I feel as though maybe we do have to go back to the other municipal governments and say, listen, it's your people that's benefiting from this airport as well, and that we need help. I'm quite sure it was a big money making and that proposition, they'd want to jump on board with us, And the only other thing there is maybe this time around we may be able to get some provincial money. And the only reason I say that is when our CAO sent letters off last time, one of them went to the warden up in Clare, which was a warden then, the warden for Clare, which is now he is an MLA for Clare, I'm quite sure. So maybe he'll be, in our corner to bat for us as well. Yep.
Yeah, and with the task force as well, like you said, Councillor Sonia, even if it's support, like if you're going after the government, support not just from our 3 areas, but moral support of what's needed there. That always helps. More people that are involved.
Power in numbers. So do you need a motion
Well,
for
I have a
this?
couple more people,
Oh,
if you don't mind.
Sorry.
Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, I've probably spoken about this more than anybody over the years, and some of the newer ones haven't been around, but I've been saying for years and years and years, and people sometimes take it the wrong way. I'm not against the medevac. I'm not against ground search and rescue. We've never been able to get any other level of government help, any other regional level help. And I've always argued, that's a big piece of infrastructure. There's no way we can maintain that. It's slowly crumbling. At some point, it's going to be beyond repair, and we can't do it. I've always argued that 3 small municipalities in one county should not be taking on the whole responsibility for that airport. And we are putting a lot of money into that airport that could be used for civic municipal things that are more important to our residents. And if that task force doesn't work, I don't know where we're going to have to go after that. I was at the point where I was willing to threaten and go along with shutting the airport down to make somebody react. And they would react because Greenwood's needs it, and the healthcare needs it. So as long as we're going to keep paying, they're going to keep playing. So I don't know. I know I'm not going to live long enough to see this finalized, but anyhow, we just keep poking away at it.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Councillor.
I get it off my chest.
Councillor Bork.
Yes, thank you. Just reading this, and it says that it's been identified by the Greenwood, like the base.
That's right.
So
The importance of
why don't we find a contact, the CAO of the base, get a contact and see if he'd support this here through the federal government. I mean, if he's sending his crew there, or she, I don't know who's the base commander there, he or she would be probably a good person to have a contact and a reference to support this through the task force.
Even a member to be on the task force.
That's right. So I just came to my mind that.
Sure.
So, thank you.
So there's no other, I guess what we need is a motion here that we at least we're in concurrence with them forming a task force. That's all it is. It's in principle. So moved by Councillor Surratt, seconded by Councillor Dicton. Any other discussion? Not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, carried. Brings us to correspondence. We have grants to organization, and that's our executive assistant is going to be giving us a chapter on that.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Warden. I promise I'll make it quick, and I do mean it. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick update. I did give you all a paper copy of the grants to organization and what we received this year. So just a little overview. We received $85,760.18 in requests for grants this year. Of those, 85,000. There was 15,550 that were already pre-approved from what your policy states. So any grant under 350, staff is able to approve. Everything's listed in here for you. I'm just giving you an overview. That includes your seniors clubs that are already pre-approved and your festivals that are pre-approved. Also, there is the rest of them. I broke them down. I tried to break them down by districts, by category, and what is inside Argyle and what is outside of Argyle. So basically, I handed you guys this sheet tonight so that you guys have until our meeting on Tuesday to look at, think about, call with any questions. I have all the applications, so if anybody would like to review an application, just give me a call and I can send that to you pretty quickly. And if you would like to fill out what you would like to donate, if you would like to do that ahead of time, like we typically do at the meeting, if you want to do that ahead of time, you can do that. Or if you want to bring it so that we can discuss it and talk about it, we can do that as well at the meeting. And then from there, I will take the averages, compile them, and I'll come to the budget meeting with the final numbers for recommendation.
Can we do that online or just on this?
This year, we are doing it just paper.
Paper.
This year.
Oh.
We are just
Okay.
trying paper this year, so
Okay.
we are going. I know. So anyways, that's all I had on the grants. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay. Oh, I see Councillor Surratt.
Chantal, just a question for you.
Sure.
This has been brought up by a couple of the organizations. They were wondering that with the cost of everything going up, and it seems our budget has stayed the same, has there been any discussion on your committee or whatever, however this is organized, about raising the level of funding?
So currently, right now, that rests with a council decision. So, sorry, if I may, Mr. Warden. So if council wishes to up their budget, that would be up to them. However, so basically, I just go based on what budget I have for this year, and I went based off last year's, but council is able to up their budget at any time that they want.
Right.
And that
It
would
has-
be, and that would be something during our deliberations.
Right,
Yes.
very good, yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so there's no motion, there's nothing on this,
Nope.
it's information.
Just more information.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor
Yeah, we
Thompson.
can part, like she says, it's a council decision, but I believe there's a threshold of percentage-wise of your overall budget. You're not allowed to go over that, so if we could have those figures when we do our budget deliberation, it would
That's
be
right.
helpful.
Sure, absolutely.
Exactly. Yes. Turned it off, yeah, okay. The next one is community litter cleanup, and again, it's our executive assistant.
Again, super brief. I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. The applications have closed. I put a deadline on them now, so I'm in conversations with some groups. There is approximately 39 kilometers to be cleaned in the municipality, 13 groups, and almost all, I would say, I didn't do an actual breakdown, but I'm pretty sure all of your districts are covered.
Okay.
Like there are groups going in every district, and so some have already gone, and some will be going in the May and June months. So
We had, they were doing the road where I live yesterday.
yes,
And
Yeah.
in the rain, and when they went by my house, I got out and I said, you know, how are you doing? And they said, this is the cleanest ditches we've ever seen. And I said, I can tell you why. We have a neighbor
yes,
that does the cleaning himself every year, and sometimes twice in a year. And he'd picked up 8 bags about a week and a half ago. But when I look at the end of the road, this was a week and a half ago, when I look at the end of the road, the bags that are there, surprises me that they found that much after having that done a week and a half ago. So you can clean all you want, it doesn't stay, but at least it doesn't, you have to clean it more, it'll just keep getting worse and worse. Okay, Regional Enterprise Network Review, there's a letter from them. I keep missing this. Go ahead, Councillor Thompson,
Question for
sorry
Sean.
about that.
Just a question for Chantel.
Sure.
Was there any applications that were late? Anybody get rejected?
nobody got rejected. I I wouldn't reject anybody.
You sort of stressed because I get a phone call like,
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
reject anybody.
I won't say, it's an organization.
Yeah.
A nursing home.
And I guess as long as there's money left and we haven't used it
That's
all.
exactly it.
and
I just
people
like to put
come.
in the deadline so that
Well,
I
it's
can get the
better.
idea, so
It's
that
better.
if we need to reduce or increase the budget, then we have
Exactly.
times before
Oh,
budget
I have a
deliberations.
question on that.
Sure.
Last year, or I guess maybe it was during COVID, maybe only, but we had a spring and a fall cleanup.
Yes,
So
so
this one is just a spring cleanup.
it currently says in the policy to do a spring and fall, but we are going to try to phase out the fall because the
Okay.
fall is it's a little more, with the safety aspect, it's a little more scary with like the fall foliage and stuff. It's just,
Yes,
it's a little more
exactly.
concerning in the fall than it is in the spring, and it's just
Okay.
more safer to go in the spring. So we are gonna try to just do a spring.
Okay. Next one, okay, regional enterprise. Final des Jeux de l'Acadie. There's a letter on that. And important for a session we held on Monday, May the 8th. It's done by Zoom. I don't know if there's any questions on that. Off-highway vehicle requests, and I guess that goes to Councillor Boudreau.
News. I've been approached by a resident, and he's asking about that pilot project that's going to allow off-road vehicles on highways, on roads. I shouldn't say highways, on roads. I've done a little bit of research, and I've talked to a colleague of ours at the municipality of Town of Yarmouth, and they haven't designated any roads yet, but they're going to have the power, I guess, to select the roads or designate the roads they want, but they haven't done that yet. Some councillors are just Water Street, and some councillors are for Stars Road and everywhere to get to the restaurants. Like I mentioned, I've done a little bit of research, and it's not going to be an all-out. You can drive these roads from morning till night. It's going to be a half an hour before dawn and a half hour after dusk. So the roads that are designated are going to be designated by the province, not the municipality. So I just want to put that out there for the residents who's wondering if we got the power to designate roads for ATVs or off-road vehicles. So I don't know, Scott, if you got something to add, go right ahead. I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. I did a little bit of research myself, and not a whole lot more to add than what you've just shared, Councillor Boudreau, other than it could be that the municipality asks for
Yes.
the province to appoint one particular road that could be used for OHV vehicles to be used. So the municipality could ask. It's not really clear when you read the press release, around, you can ask for roads that are our local roads. So what does that mean? Are those the roads that we have that are municipal roads? So the definition is not that clear. We probably need some clarity around that piece. But if the roads that we own would only be the ones right next here and the one in the industrial park.
Yeah.
There's other roads like J-class and I-class roads. We might be able, we pay a portion of those to maintain, so we might be able to do those. When you're talking about a main road, again, those are provincial road, and you would have to ask permission from the province to use those. The other piece to it is that it's basically to connect, like you gotta have a valid reason why you want to do this. It's not just, can I use the road 334 highway and just use it like I want to? It's not. It's the pilot project that they used was to kind of connect trails that you couldn't go. You had to use the main road to connect one trail to the other trail. The other reason could be, as Councilor Boudreau mentioned, to maybe go to a restaurant or to a gas station. But there are other rules that you need to follow. You know, you need to be registered, you need to have person driving needs to have a driver's license and insurance and all those pieces too applies. So it's not as easy as just identifying. I think you need to request that from the province. But there may be some roads to consider for the municipality. I leave that up to council to make that choice, but it's a good discussion to have tonight anyhow, to start those conversations.
I have Councillor Stratton.
I know that I've had several people asking about to get to the brewery. They'll come on the trail, they come to the back and come and gas up. They wish they could have a way to get to the brewery. You know, so, but it's not, you have to cross the 103, which they do. You know, Norman Podge is there.
Yeah, and that might be one request that we make, right? If there's a valid reason to do that,
Yeah.
and there's enough push from our residents,
Yes.
then maybe it's a request. But can't guarantee you that the province would agree to do that. But it might be one to consider.
Yep.
Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. If I may, Mr. Warden, could I just back up a couple to the community litter cleanup? I should have brought it up at the time, but I didn't, sorry. Just wondering, so it's only going to be spring cleanup this year? And I was just wondering, we used to put, I believe, so much money aside in the budget for these organizations that cleaned up. Just wondering now, being as though we're only going to have it once this year instead of twice, could there may be a way that we could give them a little extra per kilometer or whatever for doing these cleanups compared to what they're making now?
Yep, so good point. Again, that would be a council decision. In our policy at the moment, it does still state the 200 per kilometer. However, at budget deliberations, I'm sure we can look at what to do with the money we have in the pot and what we will be spending versus what we have allocated for it. I'm sure we can look at that.
Thank you very much.
That should be no problem.
Thank you.
Okay. There you go.
Just to answer Councillor Digdon's question, and Chantal answered it very well, but I just want to add that, as she mentioned, even though we put a deadline, it's still kind of open for people. We're not saying no to nobody, so there might be a continuous like trickle down, people continuing asking even after the date. We're not really saying no. The budget will probably dictate that once to say no. So it could happen that it still happens in September. It's just it's easier to budget if we do it all kind of in the spring and put a deadline. It's easy for us for budget.
Okay. The next one is let le président ramassement de l'annonce de la nouvelle piste. Oh, that's for the track. It's the upgrade to the track. Like it just came from ESPB, which is École Secondaire Parent-Bas. Just a letter acknowledging and whatever, and I think they probably have to accept that as well because it's on their property. So next one, letter to CSAP, and I think Chantal has something to add on that one.
Yes, so on the agenda, there is that letter to CSAP that indicated that we were basically letting them know that the upgrades might be happening during the school season or the track season, whatever. We were basically just advising them, wondering if that would be okay, if they're willing to work with us. So I just wanted to advise council, since it's not on the agenda, they have responded and they are more than willing to work with us in any capacity that they can. So I just wanted to give you a brief update so that it doesn't fall off the radar.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That brings us to financial requests. We're deferring all those because we don't know what the budget's going to be. So we have to wait until we have the budget approved. I have Councillor Sonia.
Thank you. I'd like to backtrack, like Councillor Digdon did, if I may, to the task force, and I got a couple of questions for Councillor Surratt. I assume that all other councils will be asked to make a motion like we did tonight? Yeah. Um, Will there be, if this task force comes to pass, will there be updates for council?
Yes, I'll be the one bringing, since I'm on the board, I'll be bringing you updates on what's going on. There'll be the minutes, of course, that will be there, but I'll be bringing updates on who's on the task force, what they're doing, where they're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Any
think,
of-
I
any
think it's
updates?
important, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so agenda topics for next meeting or notice of motion by councillors. Any questions? Oh, go ahead,
That's
Councillor
all right.
Digdon.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Again, I thought I maybe have some information this evening to possibly see if the West Pubnico Fire Department could borrow money through the municipality for repairs to their roof at the fire hall. But I don't have that. It has not been prepared for me yet, but I'm just letting you know that I may have it next meeting. I don't
Okay.
know. Just,
That's right, you had brought that up last time.
yeah, I did. Thank you.
Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. I just kind of want to mention to council here that myself and a lot is on Chantal's plate. We're looking at reviewing a lot of our policies, our personnel policy, our council policies, and eventually we'll get to the bylaw. So you will see that we've already, actually in this agenda, you see there's two there that we've updated the fees and penalties, and the substance abuse was a new one that was kind of parked, that had been, was brought on the docket, I guess, when the cannabis got legalized. I think that policy got formed around then, and then we kind of brushed it off and brought it back here. But I just want to share that we'll continue to do that from our end, from the CAO office, to continue to review some of these council policies and personnel policy. We're going to continue to bring them to update them. Like, some of them haven't been updated for years and years and years. So we will continue to go through them this year. This is a priority for us, for the CAO's office, and continue. And we need to bring them to council for approval. So you will continue to see some as the year progresses here. So.
Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. And I believe what your people are doing there is very good. I actually went through the whole substance abuse, and not only was it looking at penalties that may be levied for these people if there is a need, but also the help that may be there for them as well. And I think that says a lot about this municipality. Thank you for your work.
Okay. Nobody else? Don't see a green light. Okay, so question? No questions? There's no in camera. We're at the end of our agenda, so the meeting is adjourned.